The Crossroads Chapter 27. On the day Jamie intended to activate his plan, Tomas and Angela decided to take off first thing in the morning in Tomas's truck. How could he? Tomas knew how important this was. It could be what the difference between Don getting out of jail and rotting there. Jamie texted his brother to see where they were and when they'd get back. He got no reply. Do you think Mr. George will let you drive his truck? Jamie asked Donna Chichi as she placed a bowl of hot farina cereal with cinnamon sugar and toasted pecans in front of him. No, and I wouldn't want to. That thing is huge, and I'd be scared to dent it. Is there another car we could use? Mel and Lucas had a car, but Jamie hadn't seen it parked at the side of the barn where the trailer was. The only other vehicle Jamie knew about was the tractor, and he doubted Donna Chichi wanted to drive that down the highway. Be patient. We'll go when they come back. Now eat. You're too skinny. He had just washed his bowl after 2 helpings when the sound of the truck through the open kitchen window got his attention. Jamie ran out to meet the old farm truck Tomas used, except it was Angela behind the wheel. She turned to look at Jamie, lips pressed in determination, and because her short height seemed to have more hair than eyes looking over the steering wheel. I'm driving, she said. Good for you, Jamie responded. Now get out so we can use the truck. No, I'm driving you and Donna Chichi. Jamie gasped. You can't. You're not old enough. Driving age is 15 in New Mexico. You're not allowed. Angela waved a card in front of his face. Tomas and I just got my instructional permit. I can drive with a licensed adult in the car. Jamie stared at the card in her hand in disbelief. But you don't have papers. A driver's authorization card doesn't require legal status, but still allows legal driving. You don't know how, Jamie insisted. Angela folded her arms over her chest. I've been taking driver's education since I started school. You never said that. You never asked. They glared at each other for several minutes until Angela rolled her eyes and sighed, Mira, I want to help Don too. Please, let me do this. How could he refuse that? He'd forgotten how nice it was to having her on his side. Fine, just don't kill us. 10 minutes later, Jamie, Angela, and Donna Chichi piled into Tomas's truck, with Angela almost hugging the wheel. Can't you come with us? Angela asked Tomas. He shook his head as he leaned over through the window. What if we get stopped and ask for papers? Jamie asked. A heavy cloud came over Tomas's face. Jamie could see he still blamed himself for Don. That's mostly happens within 100 miles of the border. You're not going anywhere near that mark. Angela has her instructional permit. Donna Chichi has her license. You'll be fine. Angela nodded and carefully checked her mirrors. Seatbelts? They're already on. Jamie tugged the strap around his lap. Angela let out a breath. Okay, we're here. Where are we going first? To visit Sandy. Donna Chichi waved her arm to the left. He's Don's oldest friend. When they got to the highway, Angela continued as slow as she had on a bumpy dirt track. You know, I can ride a horse faster than this, Jamie pointed out. And Angela sped up and eventually drove faster than a horse. They made a few turns down various roads until Donna Chichi pointed out a rutted driveway. The truck bumped and rattled as the passengers knocked into one another. They finally pulled up into an area with 5 houses made from brick and wood. A pack of dogs rushed out to greet them, barking and snapping their teeth at the wheels. Angela gripped the steering wheel again and didn't turn off the engine, as if she were afraid of being attacked. I'm nervous, Jamie said, though it had nothing to do with the barking dogs. He clutched the sketchbook Diego had given him to his chest. He knew what he wanted to draw in it and had worked all last night on the first image. It seemed fitting that Diego's dad unknowingly helped his plan. I really hope this works. It will, Donna Chichi assured him, But then she leaned over to the canvas shopping bag at her feet and recounted her jars of jam. I'm staying here, Angela said. Jamie didn't even try to convince her. Before they had rescued Vita, Angela had hated dogs. Jamie had to admit that these dogs didn't seem like the nicest bunch. Donna Chichi, though, had it all planned out. From her shopping bag, she extracted marrow bones and made sure each dog had one to gnaw on before exiting the truck herself, with Jamie right behind her. A man with long black hair came out of one of the houses and waved upon seeing them. Donna Chichi, what a surprise! We'll all put on some tea. Are you here to see Sanny? Yes, and you? All of you, of course, she said in an accented but correct English. Groups of twos and threes came out of the various houses. Some hugged for a few minutes at a time, while others greeted her with a smile. Donna Chichi presented each person with a canned good of their choice. You don't have to bring us gifts when you come. A woman with long gray braided hair hugged the jar of jam to her chest. Just having you visit is a gift. It's been too long. My mama always said it is rude to visit without bringing something, Donna Chichi smiled. And I have too much for us to eat, so you're doing me a favor. What did you bring? A familiar voice asked. Jamie turned and found himself looking straight into brown eyes framed in purple glasses. Carla, your house. Jamie waved to the cluster of buildings in front of them. Yes, Sanny is my great-grandfather. Come, I'll introduce you. She took a jar and led the way to the oldest-looking house, made from bricks. In front of the door, a gray tabby cat cried as it rubbed against the door jamb. Carla scooped up the cat and draped him over her shoulder like a scarf. The cat purred so loud, Jamie wondered how it didn't hurt her ears. No animals inside the house, Carla. The woman with the gray braid, still talking with Donna Chichi, called out. Carla pretended she didn't hear. Inside the house, the temperature instantly cooled from hot outdoors. A man with long white hair and a wrinkled face sat on the couch in front of a box TV that seemed to belong in a museum from the 1950s. Sanny, this is Jamie. He's in my class and he came here with Donna Chichi. Carla said with her head inclined slightly, so her hair partially covered her feline accessory. The old man turned and Jamie took a step back, feeling his intense glare. He had to do this. He couldn't back down now. Hello, Mr. Sanny. I friend with Don and I. The old man waved a hand to stop. He pushed himself off the couch and hobbled to the TV to turn it off by hand. When he spoke, it was in perfect Spanish. You sound like you're trying to sell me something, and I hate people thinking they know what I want to buy. Jamie gulped. I beg your pardon. Sanny is already a name of respect, and you don't need to call me Don or Senor. Now, what's this I hear about Don getting himself in jail? How did those guys catch him on a horse? Jamie told the story of Don's arrest and what he wanted to do to help. He handed the man a sketchbook and showed him the first drawing he had made and how he hoped to use it in the trial. Sandy listened intently as he studied Jamie's drawing. I like your plan and I'm glad to help. I met Don at a Mustang roundup. Did he tell you all about that? Jamie nodded. He told me that's what got him interested in horses. We were both young and stupid and agreed to work the roundup in exchange for a horse. Don didn't care that he didn't have a home or any way to support himself. He just wanted a horse, any horse. I worried what the elders would say if I came home with 2 horses and a new brother. Sandy readjusted himself on the couch. Instead, he found a home with that gringo and came to visit us. His other family every weekend. Different times then. Less roads and less fences. Less people thinking they know how to run the world. Sandy went on with stories about Don, things the two of them did together. As he listened, Jamie sketched Sandy's words with quick lines and artistic notes that he would develop later into full drawings. Before he knew it, the truck horn blared. The clock said they'd been there for almost 2 hours and they still had others to visit. Jamie gave Sanny his thanks and stepped outside just as Angela sounded the horn again. Donna Chichi exited one of the other dwellings where she'd been talking with her friends. He grumbled about Angela's demanding personality as he opened the truck door. Carla's family saw them off with fry bread, a thick, deep-fried flour tortilla that dripped with honey, before they left to visit another of Donna Chichi's friends to help with Jamie's plan. Some people weren't home, but the ones who were happily told Jamie what he wanted to know, and sent their best wishes on to Dawn. The sun was beginning to set when the family returned to the ranch. Angela complaining that her neck and leg were stiff from driving, and Donna Chichi lightly snoring on the other side of the cab. Once back in the trailer, Jamie dove into his sketchbook, transforming the sketches into actual drawings and adding details he hadn't had time to draw. With each stroke, he wondered if this would be enough and whether he'd ever see his friend again.